Pinhead.
And we are live. Welcome to Talking Pinheads, the one day of the week where we get to talk about, well, whatever the hell we want. I'm your host, JetSparks373, and yeah, all we are doing is just sitting around talking. But since until someone else comes in here, like I said though, to let everyone know, this 100% is an open mic. So you want to come in and talk about a few things with me, feel free. And the link has already been sent out, so come on in. But to start all this stuff off, we are going to talk about one little thing that I have always been kind of had a bit of interest in, and that is astronomy, but also, namely, about exoplanets. Yes, the whole thing about planets beyond our solar system. Now, look, I'm gonna be honest here. There is a lot of the things that we can unpack about these things, and again, going into a little bit about the theories about if there are other planets, especially planets like our Earth. Why have we not found any other life out there like us, or similar, or maybe even radically different than ours? Well, there are the theories of rare Earth, but we actually have found more, or at least scientists have said that they have found or Earth-like planets, Earth-like exoplanets out there. So it could be true, but I mean, like I said, if we watch shows like the Orville recently, it could show that maybe those planets are further along in their advancement and development. So basically, they could be more advanced than us, or they could be at the same level of technological advancement as we are currently, as we've seen by that one episode about majority rule. And given this, there is another little thing about star systems as well. The idea of the habitable zones of habitable zones. I'm trying to find the right photo here. All right, here it is. Systematically, there are other parts to it, but it doesn't really matter what kind of planet. Oh no, that one's a little too small. Okay, it's big. It's big enough at least. Okay. Now, as you can see here, it doesn't really depend. It doesn't really matter what kind of star we have, what kind of star is it. But again, it only based it because if you're around a much brighter and hotter star, it would probably have to be much further out. But like our solar system, like, of course, it would be a lot. It's probably just where it is there. Earth is probably at least 93 million miles, aka one astronomical unit, or AU, from its parent star. And for some planets, like say a red dwarf, which is probably a much cooler star, most likely the habitable zone will be a lot closer. But again, we already know also basically if it's too close, it's too hot. But also, there are necessary other things of planets that are like the size of Jupiter that are orbiting very, very close to their stars. And these are known as hot Jupiters. But it's another strange basis of how our universe works. But another thing, though, I think I'm gonna look up the video also of planets. Let me see if I can find that one. Oh, just now leaving work. Hey, Bears. How are you, man? All right, let me see if I can find that. I know which one I'm looking for. I'm just trying to find the one. I'm looking for here. Let me see. That's strange. I'm trying to look for the one that's from. Uh, all right, I think this might be it. Okay, now I just need to share it really quickly. Oh, yeah. Well, things could be better. Things could be worse. Bears as well. Let me see. Just let me full screen and we play.
Things that are just not possible on our planet. It would certainly be understandable that you would think that if it's impossible here on Earth, then it would be impossible everywhere else in the universe. But that's simply not the case, and the universe is far stranger than any of us can actually believe. Let's begin with shadows. Your shadow on Earth is always alone, and you're always used to seeing it this way as it follows you around during the day. You're also used to seeing everybody else with just one shadow, but this isn't a universal thing that would be experienced elsewhere. You have one shadow because our primary light source on Earth is our sun. But what would happen if there were two suns? A planet that orbits two stars would look much like Tatooine from Star Wars, with two brilliant sunsets each day and two shadows instead of one for each person. It used to only be science fiction until the planet Kepler 16b was discovered, which is a place that orbits two different stars. If you were suddenly teleported to the surface of the planet, you would likely die from the extreme temperatures and lack of air to breathe, but assuming that you were teleported in a suit that could help you survive, then you would experience having two different shadows, a friend for your always lonely shadow that you experience on Earth. Our next extremely bizarre place is a planet that
Now, going back a little bit to this, is that there are actually two different types of binary orbit stars. You have a P type, which is basically the planet orbits both stars orbit around each other, but another planet orbits around both of them. The other one is an S type, where you have one planet orbiting the star, and the planet itself orbits around the smaller star, most likely, or the bigger one. And I think a good classic example of it, based on, let me see, I'll also try to share this one. Let me quickly do that. Sorry, switching tabs is not the fastest, in my opinion. Here, I'm not the fastest at this kind of stuff, but yeah, this is the Lilat system from Star Fox, and as you can see here, I think that other thing, Solar, is just another type of star. We already have the main star Lilat, but we also have Solar, and there are at least maybe a few other planets and nebulae or small nebulae that also orbit, which again doesn't make sense because they'd be pretty massive, because that's pretty much what it all is about. You already have planets like Pacina, the system's asteroid belt, Fortuna, Catina, Macbeth, Aquarius, Zonus, aka the dumpster planets, Soria, Titania, which also is probably is most likely a ringed planet. But of course, you have Venom orbiting that, and Boys and other ones. So that's the whole thing, though. That could be this is a perfect example of an S-type binary orbit of a star system. You have probably smaller celestial bodies orbiting that. But even then, there are also other types of orbital bodies like planets, which are basically just moons that are orbiting large, basically moons just orbit, or basically planet-like moons that are orbiting larger gas giants. Like, say, a good example of that of a planet would be Yavin 4 from Star Wars. Yavin itself is most likely a brown dwarf. It's bigger than, like, say, Jupiter, but it's not dense enough to be considered a star. But another thing, though, the whole thing is there are planets that could be orbiting that. Another example of a planet is Pandora from Avatar. It orbits the gas giant planet Polyphemus. But also, again, when we look at different types of planets, you also have the idea of differing variations of a planet's composition, like how massive a planet could be. Because again, something that they do say about these exoplanets, that some of these Earths are actually considered super Earths, but if they are much larger than our own Earth, don't you think that they would probably have most likely more gravity than our planet would? Most likely, again, the inhabitants, if there are any intelligent life forms on it, most likely they'd probably be a lot smaller and have a lower center of gravity. Or we're gonna go more radical, like the L Corps from Mass Effect. They would need some very strong muscular legs, or very strong muscle and skeletal structures to basically withstand those harsh gravitational conditions. But any other species, it will probably weigh us down a lot more, if not outright crush us. But that's just how it is. But even the same thing with a planet with lesser gravity, like Pandora, that's the reason why the Na'vi are so tall like they are, because, again, lower gravity, lower center of gravity. I mean, again, even the Na'vi could even, like, jump higher technically. But it makes you even wonder, like, why don't the humans have, like, the power to jump higher? Because there's not as much gravity. Either that, or it's only just like a third less than Earth is. But again, it's never stated in the film. But I guess they really don't want to bore you with all that science mumbo jumbo. But I live for this kind of stuff. But back to the video I was trying to show you guys.
Shadows instead of one for each person. It used to.
Okay, I guess that's it. Abruptly ends right there. Yeah, that's right. No, wrong thing. That's a very, very insane thing to think about with a lot of these planets. Hell, there's a planet that's actually literally nothing but diamonds on it. But I mean, again, our universe truly has a lot more stranger things, even such as this. Let me see if I can find it. Hmm. Now, just one thing is, let me see if I can put this up. Oh, well, we have our first guest. Welcome, the Fell.
Um, Sparks, did I come at a bad time? I tuned it on, and your stream is suspended.
Oh, was it suspended by something I was doing?
You were broadcasting something, and then all of a sudden,
Oh, well, I think it might have been from that infographics video I showed. I'm sorry.
ah,
I don't know why I don't know why. I guess really, I think they might be getting on to me. I've been talking about like exoplanets and whatnot.
oh, I see. I thought maybe because I thought maybe you were trying to collect because you were Denzel Washington's son, and
Oh,
you're trying to collect on some of the stuff now. I don't know.
no, heck no. This is a joke. I know that whole thing. That can never happen. But I know I've been talking about exoplanets, and how there are some very impossible planets. Like there's one that is that literally is like a 10-mile as nothing but an ocean planet, but the ocean is about as deep as over 100 miles.
That's a deep planet.
Yes, it is. But even then, there's even something far more dangerous that possibly you would even think that how could even something could even form in these places. And that here is a pulsar. Yes, they're actually planets that have formed around these massively energetic stars that have massive jets of X-rays shooting out of them, and
Yep.
even some of these bombard some of the planets that orbit them.
So okay, this all can be scientifically proven. So why would YouTube suspend your live stream for that?
I don't know, maybe because I think it's maybe copyrighted, most likely.
Oh, geez. Well,
Oh,
okay,
right,
fair. I guess
probably
that's
because
fair.
maybe I think that other one probably had sound, but this was like this was like a small animation for like Independence Day.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know, but I'll have to check back through it and see why the stream got suspended temporarily. But the thing is, like I said, though, these pulsars are extremely dangerous, and I mean, again, it makes you wonder how could this even happen? I already know, the only thing we know is that these planets would be about as dead as Mercury, so no life could ever flourish around them.
Mhm. I mean, that's the wonder of creation and science. I mean, it's
Exactly.
it's all it's no pun intended from to borrow a phrase from Mr. Spock. It's all fascinating. So it's that's one of the great things about studying astronomy and all the science that's out there is that we can and the imaginations that we have it goes wild when we're able to get pictures like that and we're able to to imagine what's out there. Is there life on all these planets on top of it?
Exactly.
What kind of life?
Yeah, and I did kind of mention that a little bit because, like I said, though, for some planets, I mean, planets like habitable planets can exist even around very hotter stars like supergiants and hypergiants,
Oh yeah,
but they'd have to be a lot further out. But cooler stars like a red dwarf a planet could have to orbit fairly close
yep,
toward any planets for life to thrive there. And of course, we already have like the ideas of moon of moonets, which are basically planets that orbit moons. And the best examples I came up with were the was Yavin 4 from Star Wars,
yep.
and another one is of course Pandora from Avatar. And the only
Well,
thing is, there's also variations of like gravitational forces.
oh yeah. I mean, and let's do another thing, like even our own solar system, where we have there's the ice moon of Europa around Jupiter. That's
Yeah,
that's probably gonna be the closest moon that you could probably have a habitable planet, because it has water on it. It's just frozen water. So, and then now, if you want a habitable planet that could potentially support life, that would be Mars.
exactly. And I know
So,
again, and we already know about the idea of terraforming it, because
yeah,
Mars is pretty close to Earth, or at least it is, because in terms of its atmosphere. But of course, with all the
yep,
dust and clouds, it's a lot different.
yep, and there's already scientific proof that Mars at one point had water on it.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
it could still, there's, as long as there is still some scientific theories out there that terraforming is possible. So and it could be done in our lifetime yet. So I don't see any reason why we couldn't do a way of terraforming Mars in, say, the next 100 years.
Yeah, because I know even in Cowboy Bebop, it has shown that they have colonized Mars, but of course they had to make like habitat domes and
Oh
whatnot. I
yeah,
mean, if we can't really terraform, I think it's the best chance we can get is just bring the Earth's habitat into space. If we're gonna be like a truly spacefaring civilization, we could just make live colony ships where we have like all of the environment inside of it.
yeah, yeah. That's true. And I think the first step would be to colonize the moon first,
Exactly.
and then start heading out towards Mars. But yeah, I think, but that raises up another question too, like, because we have the technology way more now than we did back in 1969.
Yes, but still, there is still a lot of significant engineering challenges, because based on how we know about how our planets orbit, Mars, it's still, even if we use like the Endeavour space shuttle, it
Yeah,
would still take us close to between 6 to 8 months to reach Mars if we're on the far side of the system. But if it's closer, the trip will be a little, might be a tad bit shorter by getting there in less than 4 months.
right.
But still, another significant challenge also would be communication, because communicates between Earth. You're looking if we're close, if Earth is close enough aligned with Mars, it would take between 18 to 20 minutes before you would get a reply back from
Right,
Mars. And
right.
if Mars is on the far side of the sun away from Earth, we'd be looking at between 45 to 50 minutes of lag time.
Yep.
So communication would be pretty much almost redundant, almost be extremely redundant. I mean, exactly what's happening when they try to communicate instructions to the probes they've sent there.
I mean, and you almost have to put up like communication satellites.
Yeah, you would have to do it to try
You
to
know,
bounce off of it. Because I know
yeah,
even in like the Mass Effect universe, they do have something known as comm buoys, which are basically just like small scale mass relays that they use to bounce. That they basically use like tight beam laser communication to get in and out of system. But of course, you're still plagued by the idea of like, you know, service tiers. Like, of course, like government officials like the council and the alliance, they get absolute priority, while civilians have to wait a little bit longer.
right. Which
Yeah,
in some aspects would obviously make some sense because I mean, if something, you know, God forbid, would happen here on Earth, and you have a situation on Mars where you have to get a military presence on Mars for some reason, you know, and then you have to, it takes you 4 or 5 months to get from Earth to Mars, and that's the best case scenario. You know what I mean? And then by the time you get there with a military presence, it's already too late. So
yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the difference between there. But it really still kind of shows about what we know. Still, the whole thing.
yeah,
We really can. I mean, that's the whole thing. Unless we actually find out better ways of communication, like I said, in the universe, they have something known as also another thing known as quantum entanglement, which I think would be more instantaneous. But again, I'm not really sure. But we're still sort of like pushed by the laws of how light moves. Because literally, when you put it up against it, light is still relatively slow compared to the volume of the galaxy and the universe.
186,000 miles a second. So
Yeah,
you can't, that's you're right. You're right. That's really slow compared to anything that and that's because according to Einstein's theory, relatively, nothing can move faster than the speed of light. So at least nothing natural can move faster than the speed of light. So if you're taking something man-made, say, now we're going into the realm of science fiction, or you know, so like with Star Wars, it's light speed, or Star Trek, it's warp drive, or
yeah.
in the Orville, it's quantum
Yeah,
drive or whatever. But you know what
yes,
I mean? It's you're taking
yeah.
that.
But like I said, though, even like let me see if I can put it up here. See if I can find it. Okay, share screen.
Which is all scientifically and theoretically possible. They've proven that.
Yes,
It's just building the machines and
yes,
putting it into action to do it.
yeah.
That's the hard part.
But like I said, though, the mass relay network in the Mass Effect universe, it can take ships thousands of light years in an instant, but using conventional FTL, it's still slower compared to that. I mean, sure, you can probably they only say, oh, we only use FTL to expand out into star clusters, but when it comes to moving from like say the Orion arm to the Perseus arm, we need to take a mass relay to get there.
Right.
So that's pretty much the whole case, though. But even then, we all know the thing is these were basically tools of the Reapers, which again, it's still kind of crazy the fact that they actually have to that they just basically still have to go through this whole cycle of galactic civilization builds itself up, it dawns, evolves, advances, and then they just wipe them all out.
Yep. Yep.
But again, we don't really. I know they say, and again, we already know by the third game they say that we do it so basically eventually that any advanced civilization will create synthetics. Well, we already created the guess, so why couldn't you just destroy? Why didn't you destroy the galaxy like a few centuries earlier? Like again, if humanity discovered the mass relays at like only a little after the gas revolt and the Korean exile, don't you think that now, yeah, this is the time we need to invade? this galaxy again and wipe out these other civilizations. Because if humanity soon discovered it about a few hundred years later, we probably would have been the most dominant species in the galaxy at that point. We would have just found the Citadel on our own, and we wouldn't have the Turians, the Asari, or the Solarians there. Again, I think it really kind of goes in. I think shout out to Wow Such Gaming and Roanoke Gaming for bringing up the whole thing. If we actually did discover it and started dealing with the Reapers on our own, because that would truly be the most dangerous thing in the universe.
That's our egos. That's the human ego. no matter whatever franchise we're in, whatever we're talking about, it's our human egos that will always dictate what we do in anything, because that's the one constant in the universe that will always either hinder us or help us, is our human ego.
Exactly the point. Now,
Always.
I know I kind of only touched on it a little bit last time, but I want to talk a little bit more about it. Let me see. I'll just the image up here. It may be a little too small. Maybe a little too small, but I'll try to see if it'll work. And that is dealing with these little fuckers from Independence Day. Yeah, we already know that. Yeah, the aliens from there are actually just tiny compared to the damn biosuits they house themselves in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they are telepathic. They are very highly telepathic.
Telepathic and intelligent. The thing is about those guys, it's like a hive mind.
Yes.
So you're taking that hive mind and combining all that intelligence into one massive intellectual brain.
Yeah,
Where,
I mean, like I said, we already have hive mind species. I mean, in the original film, they were almost referred to almost similar to locusts.
yeah. Yep.
But again, like in the sequel, they pretty much have they kind of got something of a name. We called them the Harvesters.
Yeah.
But again, I know I didn't say it, but I did think I did bring up the sequel a few bits in my why I love it for Independence Day. But again, it always makes you wonder, like the aliens we faced back in 1996, which is what they refer to as the War of '96. They think that probably those aliens might have been some sort of auxiliary force, and the ones we see in Resurgence are just like they're more advanced like elite forces they probably may have sent. But again, it probably shows that the aliens have been watching our planet for years, and for all we know, even in our world currently, that's what aliens are probably actually doing right now. They're just observing us.
Oh yeah. They're trying to figure out, like, they're looking at us and they're trying to figure out, should we help these people get their lives straightened out, or should we destroy these motherfuckers and be like, you know what?
I think given how much we sorry.
No, I was gonna say that's it, or should we just observe, or as I like to say, just grab the popcorn and let them destroy themselves.
Yes, that's what I figured. But I mean, again, it's always boggled the mind about what the aliens' motives are for attacking Earth. I mean, we found out in the sequel that they're actually here to suck our planet's core dry,
right?
Of whatever elements they need. They needed to like power our technology. I mean, look, if you're looking for like more rare earth elements, like you're not gonna get much of it from Earth, because we've been mining stuff out of our planet for years. I mean, you could find that stuff readily available in all of our asteroids. If you're looking for water, you literally just need to just go. You can go to Enceladus, you can go to Europa and get ice from there if you need water.
Yep. And the thing is, it's like, why Earth? It's like, I get it. It's like the only planet in our solar system that has a 80 to 20 oxygen atmosphere.
Yes.
It's the only planet in the solar system that is capable of sustaining organic life. It's the only planet in our solar system that has like an industrial intelligent life, if you will.
Yeah, we're almost just entering the digital age. I mean, still only half of our world is industrialized, the other half isn't.
Right. It's like you go from, and I don't even want to say this because I know there are viewers that could be watching us, but it's like there's a dividing line from like the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere, and I don't want to take anything away from the southern hemisphere because I know there's technology down there, but it's
Yeah, I
almost like
know, but
there's that dividing line.
it's not really as developed. But I mean, still,
Yeah,
there are some countries that are industrialized, like
like
Chile,
Australia, like
Chile,
Chile. Yeah,
Australia,
yeah,
Brazil,
yeah.
stuff like that.
Right, and like I said, I'm not trying to take that away, but we up here in the northern hemisphere and in the United States, it's like we think of that like the southern hemisphere of the world outside of Australia and New Zealand and that area of the world. We don't think of them as advanced in technology as we are up here. And I'm not trying to demean them by any stretch of the
Yeah, but
imagination.
I know Australia. I mean, we already know Australia started out as a penal colony,
Yeah, exactly.
but
Right.
again, it is also the lowest, one of the lowest populated continent on Earth. Only
Right.
24 million people roughly live on the continent, and most of them are all near the coast.
Right. Right. So we don't think about that, and it's like, and again, I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody that's watching this, and they're watching us from that side of the world. Please, I'm not trying to take anything away from you guys, but it's just up here in the northern hemisphere. It's like for some odd reason we were the ones that got all the technology first. It was our side of the world. It was our part of the world that, for whatever reason, we just advanced faster as far as
Yeah, and I
technology
mean,
went.
it took Europe and North America at least a little over 200 years to industrialize. I mean, the industrial revolution started in Europe, and then it moved across the pond to North America. And then, like, of course, in the last 50 years, China and a lot more parts of Asia have pretty much heavily industrialized. And heck, even then they're doing some things better and more, and heck, even doing it more efficiently than North America and Europe are.
I would say being North America, Europe, and Japan would be
more or less.
would be the three big
and
industries,
South Korea.
And South Korea. Yeah, so the four big countries, continents would be the four big areas that advance the technology of the world, and they all happen to be in the northern hemisphere. You know what I mean? So it's like, and again, it's just for whatever reason, it was this part of this part of the world, this half of the world that just advanced. So, and
I mean, but also even also in even in possible wartime, there's nothing of strategic value in the southern hemisphere. So relatively, anything goes wrong, and if there's any serious damage anywhere, it's all going to happen to us here and up in the northern hemisphere. So especially to everyone who lives in places like South America, South Africa or South or Sub-Saharan Africa and Australia and New Zealand, you guys are all going to be relatively safe from all this crap.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like where you guys are starting to get caught up with us in the north. You guys, with all the simple life that you guys have down there, it's a lot easier for you.
Exactly.
Because with us up here in the north, all this technology, we've become so technology reliant and so tech heavy that a lot of us, maybe, and I'm not going to say I'm going to say probably about maybe 90% of the population, and that might be a little bit generous, probably don't remember how to manually do a lot of things like plant seeds in the ground, like grow things without having to get on their phone and how to do things, or get on a tablet. You know what I mean? Or all the books are pretty much collecting dust up here because we have our phones at our fingertips and their computers.
Yeah, and with that, but also joining us with this is possibly the only person who will always be well fed, even when the apocalypse happens, the great, glorious Nintendo fanboy Ursine himself, Bear64.
Hey, Bears, what's up?
I would survive every. The reason why he says I would like still live because I'll eat all of you.
Exactly. Claw us out and eat our guts.
to be fair, if he eats me, he'd eat off me for probably the rest of his life. So there's that. So
I'll make sure I put some Korean hot sauce on you.
Thanks.
Yeah. But Fel, continue what you were saying.
Oh, I was just saying that with we're so technology reliant and heavy up here on the north side of the world.
Yeah, the northern hemisphere.
The northern hemisphere. That the southern side of the hemisphere, if something were to happen up here, 90% of the population, and again, I think I'm being generous, wouldn't know what to do, because if all of our computers, our phones, our tablets, and everything crash, people aren't going to remember how to plant things without looking up on their phones. Because
we
the
are
older generation,
like, so much of that. But
the older generation didn't teach them.
Yeah, and I mean, it wouldn't just not have to be just not only necessarily war that messes us up. The most natural, the biggest natural disaster that can happen to us is a coronal mass ejection, aka a
solar flare.
A big solar storm that could hit the Earth.
Yep.
But I mean, the minute that's like it hits the atmosphere, I mean, sure, we'll see auroras as far south as like Florida. But other than that, we pretty much will be knocked in the dark for like who knows how long.
You know what? Florida man will fucking survive. Damn it!
Huh?
Exactly. We'll survive.
Yeah, and plus maybe if everyone's smart enough, since if you guys got guns, maybe I wonder. I think then people will start. I think probably gator hunting will probably ramp up because I've always wondered what gator steak tastes like.
Tastes like chicken. Not just kidding.
Maybe.
Isn't that what they always tell us? It tastes like chicken.
I think they do say that. I think when I used to watch Swamp People with my mom, they will describe it. It tastes like chicken.
I'll have to try some gator steak sometime. But yeah, the whole thing is it really sort of boils down to the idea that, like, what would aliens' motives even be if they were to invade Earth? Which, again, we've already kind of debunked the idea of why they would need our resources, like rare earth elements or water. But in the case of one alien species, you would kind of think about the idea about them, and that would be Mars. We already know full well that these jerks would only just here because. Okay, let me see if I can pull it up. Let me try to. Then we Yeah, sorry. Again, sharing screen. I'm sharing my screen.
Such a professional stream. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not. I'm not a professional. I'm too slow at this stuff. Yeah, we already know the Martians from Mars Attacks. They would. They either that. They pretty much did say like they already made. I think they pretty much made a prompt declaration of war against us, but we just didn't pick up the nuances of their of what the translation was. Basically, the translation was Martians. 800,000 years ago, we created hybrids or half breeds, and we will basically mow down your people like a harvest of wheat. So basically, they blatantly said that we're coming to wipe you humans out.
I like to make the joke for Independence Day when they have like what was it the helicopter with the lights that communicate with the aliens.
Yeah.
I always like to make the joke. Oh, they misinterpreted it as "go fuck yourselves."
No, I'm pretty sure that's what I always thought that's what the response was "go fuck yourself."
Oh man.
Yeah, but the aliens, they certainly had a lot of fun just messing around with us. They did. I honestly think the aliens would have just attacking us for fun. All they were just there was to just destroy. They didn't need any of our resources. They just wanted to wipe us out.
That was probably one of the lowest budget sci-fi movies of modern era, and yet it was probably one of the funniest.
Exactly. I mean,
you
gotta admire the insanity of Tim
Burton.
Burton.
What was that, Bears?
It was dumb, but I really liked it.
Yeah, it was just like one of those movies where it was campy, it was funny. I mean, it had Jack Nicholson as a president, for crying out loud. I mean,
and also
how much better could
real
it
estate
get?
developer in Las Vegas. He played a dual role.
It was like, how much better could you get at that time than having Jack Nicholson as the president of the United States, who was already off his rocker to begin with, and yet he's having these aliens come down, and it was just like, okay, why not? You know,
makes you wonder how much more different the movie would be if, say, Nick Cage was in the role of the president.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, it must be unfathomable. It must be unfathomable what we could conceive from that. Oh man,
I'm sitting
to understand that Ukraine is under attack.
Yeah, but like I said, they took the design of the Martian saucers that was taken from Earth versus the flying saucers.
Oh yeah.
And I think the design of the Martian armor they wear is also taken from that too.
Well, and obviously the Martians themselves are a Halloween decoration. I mean, that's all it is.
Yeah, and they basically are they're taken from some old trading cards from the 1960s.
Oh yeah, I mean this movie was a 1960s rejected script somewhere down the line.
Yeah, basically it had a 1950s B movie. I mean, the movie is I know this movie is supposed to be set in the modern 90s, but we're still using 50s era tanks and even using M14s.
But it was still one of the funniest sci-fi movies I had seen in a long time.
Yes.
And it was, you know what I mean? It was so campy, it was so dorky, but it was still funny.
And the fact that Jack Black just dies when you think he's going to be the hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just one of those movies you needed that at that time. It was just like Tim Burton, he delivered,
Exactly. And I mean, the whole thing about it, I mean, what do you think is probably what do you think is the worst alien invasion movie of all time?
Aside from that?
No, I'm not. I know. We know Mars Attacks is actually a pretty funny movie, but what do you think is the worst?
Too.
Huh?
Independence Day 2.
Yeah.
Yes, we did talk about that.
I was just going to say that.
The aliens in that movie, they were doing the exact same thing. They just wanted to wipe humanity off the map. But I mean, the only reason I could still justify aliens invading Earth is because they want to make Earth their own planet too. They want to colonize Earth.
I just want to say they're pricks.
Yeah.
I'd say the Martians are dicks. Yeah.
Now, are we talking actual invasion movies, or are we talking just a general like science fiction.
I would say in general, why the aliens' motives for invading Earth or any other planets.
Oh, okay.
So what do you think their motive would be if they're going to invade Earth? Because the only thing I can think of is they only want to colonize the planet, but they want to get rid of us pesky humans first, and then to say, yeah, this is our planet now. Get lost.
Fuck you, Earthlings.
E.T. phone home. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong.
Nothing much. I just want to go whoop ET's ass.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. But I know one thing. But the same thing also applies here. Let me see if I can. I'll see if I can find it here. Okay, like Independence Day. Yep.
I think he's a little anxious to whoop ET's ass. That's what it was.
Yeah, just a little anxious to go down. We'll be T's ass. Yeah, but still, another thing about them, I really do like how iconic the ship from Independence Day is. It's really, really interesting. Let me just see if I can. All right, stop sharing.
And yet it was brought down by a biplane. Just
yeah,
saying.
at least by that
saying.
deleted scene. Yeah, that deleted scene. Yeah, it was taken down by a biplane when the town drunk crashed into it.
They don't build them like they used to.
Yeah, and it's crazy. This ship was over
here.
15 miles wide, for crying out loud.
What's up, Baker?
Yeah.
That sounds like some really cool parodies, like a sword you find in like some crazy ass game. The Woke Breaker.
Yes. Exactly. But again, I really did like the design. Heck, I like the design of the alien fighters, for crying out loud, in the movie.
See, that's the thing about when you have the original movie and then you try to do a sequel. It's
For
the
one,
original is always going to be the best one. And sequels usually can't replicate the better usually can't do better than the first one. It usually can't.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that about Ghostbusters too. I mean, it didn't do as good. I mean, it wasn't. It's just not. People just simply say it wasn't as good. But sometimes, yeah, sequels are just down. When you do a sequel, it's just downright terrible.
Well, the thing Independence Day 2 had running against it was Will Smith didn't do it.
Yeah, he was too busy doing.
If we're going to be honest about it, if we're going to be honest, Will Smith didn't do number 2. That was the biggest drawback it had going against it. So if we're going to be honest about it,
yeah.
And so if he had done number 2, it would have been a lot better. And also I think if I remember correctly, didn't number 2 go up against Men in Black 3?
No, I don't. Wait, did it come out in 2016?
What, or am I just not remembering?
No, I think Men in Black 3 came out in 2012. I think.
Yeah, 2012.
Oh, okay.
Also, Woke Breaker, he said he watched the original Spider-Man to get the new Thor out of his mouth.
Yeah,
keep Thor's name out your freaking mouth. Sorry, I had to make that joke, but still, again, it makes you wonder. Come on, Will, you could punch an alien harder in the face than you could with Chris Rock. I know he slapped him, but come on, dude, seriously.
I was like, where was that when he slapped Chris Rock?
Exactly.
Wasn't there a theory going around that when he slapped Chris Rock, wasn't that a stage punch or something like that?
At first, everyone thought that was, but it turns out when he started yelling at him, it's like, oh, he must have really meant that.
The thing is, he's an actor, so
yeah,
he could easily just scream like that, anyways.
Yeah, true, but of course, like, I mean, if he just simply walked up on stage and just said, "Hey, look, man, listen, my wife's got alopecia, just like cool it down a bit." He's
I mean, someone put like a side by side of a similar situation that happened. Like, I'm not kidding. It was almost verbatim the exact same thing.
Well, put it side by side of Will punching that alien versus an Independence Day versus punching Chris Rock. It almost looks like the exact same punch.
That
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
It was an extra girly slap from Chris Rock. Although, good thing the guy wasn't Hispanic because it wouldn't have been standing another alien.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm just gonna say, yeah, but again, all of that just didn't make any sense. But again, he was doing Suicide Squad at the time, and it's just like, yeah, you traded. I mean, Independence Day 2 would have been a much better movie, but they explained how he died in the movie. That he died in like one of those hybrid fighters they have in the movie. That he died in like a test piloting
That's
accident.
the worst way for a cool character to go out.
Yeah.
You basically just killed him off screen. And of course, I know, like, again, the kid who was supposed to be his son in the first movie, he's grown up and now he's a pilot now. And the world, of course, the world's unified, but it's not the same actor who played. It's not the same actor who played him. It's not the same person.
I guess it would be pretty hard for like a kid, like who was a kid actor back in 20 years ago, would be like the same character that
Well, not for Mae Whitman. She actually was in this movie, and she's still actively working as an actress.
Mae Whitman?
Well, I'm not sure if you watched Scott Pilgrim versus the World. She basically played Roxy Richter in that movie, and she was.
Okay, wait, Roxy, is that one of the Seven Deadly Exes?
Yeah, it's the one with the like football smear stuff that you over under her eyes.
Okay.
I never uses that like metal whip she has.
Oh, because dude, I've seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World an ungodly amount of times, so don't you dare.
Yeah, but like I said, that's Mae Whitman, and it's just understandable why they didn't just ask her to come back and reprise her role as the president's daughter.
Oh shoot! So she's the president's daughter.
Yeah, that was Mae Whitman. Yep.
Shit.
Yeah, but again, probably they probably just didn't know. But then again, I guess Emmerich and Dean Devlin didn't know that. Oh, she's still actively working in Hollywood. But again, we already know that they've done like far worse movies. Godzilla, ringing any bells?
Wait, the 2014 Godzilla?
No, the 98 one where he looks like a freaking chicken.
Oh, the one that really sucked.
Yes.
Oh, the what is his name? I never liked him.
Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, I mean, you could still say there's a few other stinkers he's done. Like you could say the 2001 live action adaptation of Inspector Gadget could be seen as a bad movie.
As a kid, I'm not gonna lie, as a kid, I watched the shit out of that movie.
Yeah, I did like it, but when you look back on it, it's not very good.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
See, my problem is that when you have the real Inspector Gadget, the cartoon series that you watched every Saturday on the networks, with the cartoon, the Don Knotts as Inspector Gadget, and then you see the live action Inspector Gadget. It's just like, why would you do this?
It does beg the question why. It's
it's
like, well, I mean, after like I've seen some episodes like growing up as well, like after the movie, and then I rewatched the movie and like, wow, this isn't as good. That's how bad the movie is.
I mean, if you were to put it was because it was all about the voice of Inspector Gadget to me. You know what I mean? It was about Don Knotts doing the voice, or not Don Knotts, Don Adams doing the voice of Inspector Gadget. So if you were to get Matthew Broderick just not doing the voice and just him doing the action, and then having Don Adams come in and just do the voice, I could almost live with that then.
I mean, Matthew Broderick's not even a good actor to begin with.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. Like I could almost balance it out with the voice if just him doing some kind of action work on it. But at the same time, it wasn't good one way or the other. It just, in my opinion. So
yeah, But I mean, the only other big movie he's done was just like, of course, his debut as Ferris Bueller, and he hasn't really done many good movies since.
Which in
That's
my
the
opinion,
that's the problem when you start with one of the greatest movies of all time. You can't go any further up than that. You go down. And Ferris Bueller, and again, I'm from that generation. Ferris Bueller was one of the greatest comedies of all time.
Yes.
I mean, I watched it when I was a teenager. I just couldn't understand why.
Do you not know of the Sausage King of Chicago? Yeah. Again, yeah, you really can go up from. You only can go up. You can't really go up from.
You can only go down. And I don't think they understood the impact of what that movie did for the teenage culture of America at that time.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the movies that truly defines the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 90s.
No, it was the 80s.
It's an 80s film. Same thing with like Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Like that again, you can consider Ferris Bueller as a part of the Brat Pack, like the Breakfast Club, or even Weird.
I think they actually
from Weird Science.
I think they actually do consider that. I was gonna say I think they actually do consider that movie Ferris Bueller a official part of the Brat Pack. I think they actually do. So
yeah, exactly. But still, again, like what we see here on screen, yeah, I really like the design of this thing. The alien attack craft.
Holy shit! It's not a saucer.
Yeah, it's kind of saucer like, but it's sleek. I like it.
It looks like it looks like one of those what's those fighters? Callin fighters almost. From
those things that are basically just spheres.
Not the Callins. Krill fighters.
Folks, I'll be right back.
All right then. Yeah, from the Orville.
From the Orville, yeah. It looks like one of those kind of fighters in a way. But it's you're right. It's a slick design. I love it. It's a really nice design.
Yeah, but still, I mean, we want to look at the Callin.
Yeah, the Callin. You're right. So the Callins are the sphere.
Are basically just, but also again, we're going on. They're basically the Borg from Star Trek.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder a little bit. Who would actually win in a fight, the Borg or the Callin?
Borg every step of the way.
How so?
Because with the Callin, they just want to kill you. With the Borg, they want to assimilate you. They want to actually keep you alive.
Yeah. But again, it really also does show some certain things though. Like what? Because again, why don't you think that they would ever try to coexist with like whatever species created them? But I know they say that that our creators basically wanted to keep us subjugated constantly.
Yeah. I mean, with the Callin. I guess in some aspects with the Callin, you know where you stand. They're out to kill you. That's the bottom line. They want to conquer the universe and kill you. With the Borg, it was they want to adapt your technology to theirs. Resistance is futile. They want you to coexist with them and share the hive mind. And so but at the same time, you also had the opportunity to be rescued, because in TNG they actually had figured out how to separate your mind and your body from the Borg technology. So my thought is, if I get captured by the Borg, by then I have a chance to actually get freed by Starfleet and get myself out of that Borg hive mind.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I'd rather be captured by the Borg versus killed by the Callins.
Yeah, but still, it'd be probably the most epic battle of.
Oh, it would be. It would be.
Yeah,
definitely.
Those Callin spheres versus Borg cubes and spheres.
But here's the thing: the Callin spheres don't self-heal, do they? They just explode.
Yeah, they're just purely robotics, but they still want to sling their artificial life forms.
Yeah. Yeah, my money would be on the Borg spear or the Borg cubes. Because they regenerate. They regenerate and self-heal.
Yeah.
My money would be on the Borg cubes all day on that battle. But it would be one hell of a battle.
Yeah. It still is a different thing though, but also, like I said, it really kind of just differs what sort of motives aliens want. Like,
Oh
for
yeah.
instance, we know, like, let's look at this. Compare to a certain alien species we all know about. Let me pull them up. Such professionalism with your stream, Jetsbox. How do you do it? Well, Doc, I don't really know. I'm just winging this shit. Indeed, you are.
Dr. Vandenberg. Been a while, sir.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Fell. Yeah, compare to the nasty lizards themselves from V.
I must say, kind of looks like Phil when he does his streams, but that's a different story.
Oh gosh, burn! Oh man,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was burning him on Steph's Twitch stream.
Fatality.
Exactly. Yeah, right there. That's I'll use that one when you have shots fired.
And he's not here to defend himself. That's the sad part.
Yeah. But yeah, it is just the thing though. The V's only basically said that we only want chemicals that are not common on our planet, but really the only thing they're after is water and having humans as snacks.
Oh, that's a lovely thought.
Yeah, they basically just have us as food. That's a pretty nasty.
Okay, so this is not the mask. Fuck.
No, those are like the lizard creatures from V. Lizard aliens that disguise themselves as humans.
So wait a minute. So
Hillary Clinton.
Huh? No, I was gonna say
yes.
So wait a minute. He like these lizard creatures like humans for snacks, right?
Yeah, basically that's what their real motive is for like coming to Earth. They want to say, "Oh, we'll basically share with you all of our knowledge and better your world." But yeah, they're secretly start abducting humans and processing them as food and start taking our water. That's mostly why they're after us. And of course, we have that's why we have we have the resistance, and of course the fifth column, aka the V's that are turning against the leadership. So
when Bears came on the stream earlier, he said he was just gonna wait and eat everybody for when the technology failed us all here in the north, right? So Bears is one of those lizard creatures. Is that what he's saying to us? Is that the conclusion we're coming up with?
No, Bears. Wait.
He laughed. I called him out. I figured him out.
I thought he was an Olsen all these years. Turns out he's one of the lizards.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. Deductive reasoning wins every time. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Tim. How are you?
So I haven't heard anyone.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, that's the whole thing. Though.
I was just the longest way to get to a joke. It was just I had to do it. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. But the whole thing is like, yeah, the aliens show up and like they're actually pretending to be humanoid like us, but they actually just look like that underneath. That's scary.
Yeah, but okay. V was a '90s TV show, right?
It was 80s, and I know
80s.
Also, there was a revival. There was a revival of the show in the 90s.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking. It was a revival.
2000s.
Maybe I'm thinking of the revival though, because it seems like I've seen it. Maybe it was a revival, but what I was going to say was the prosthetic and the makeup looks so much better. Why is it the makeup and the prosthetics look so much better in the 80s and the 90s and the 70s or whatever than it does now?
Yeah, now
Why
the
is
answer to
that?
that is just we just put CGI and just use a lot of CGI now.
That's fair.
Yeah, this is the revival, and I
fair.
think like the main leader of them was this lady here, who's played by the lovely and glorious Morena Baccarin.
Mm.
Yeah, again, yeah, this is Deadpool's girlfriend played the leader of the aliens.
Well, that explains a lot.
Yeah, at least in this series they were.
That's why
And their tagline was "We are of peace always." I mean, yeah, there was a lot of good storylines in the revival, but again, it got canceled after like 2 seasons. Heck, even like the main guy from like the original series came back in like a cameo in like the last episode. He was like a government agent who like knew the bees were there the whole time and they were preparing to fight them. The government's always been wary of the bees for a long time. In fact, I think this is what they're supposed to look like without the skin in the revival. Yeah, that's what they're supposed to look like.
Oh wow, that actually looks pretty bad. Like the design idea, good, but the CGI just makes it look bad.
Yeah, it does.
I think the reason why effects look so great back then is because they knew they were limited and they had to get creative.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't have to rely. They couldn't rely on computers on absolutely everything.
But you're only gonna look at anything in the 80s that had to rely on computers. That's Tron.
I think that's the reason why we liked. That's the reason why I like so much stuff from older movies is because it was like all model making, all actual prosthetics and makeup, nothing CGI.
Yeah,
because it was all real looking. You know what I mean?
And even give it credit where credit is due to the man, the myth, the legend, Stan Winston. May he rest in peace.
Yep.
I love this series on Netflix called The Movies That Made Us.
Yep.
And it's just
I've seen it.
So incredible, intriguing to see how everything came to be. Especially when Aliens, they did one episode on that. And when they came to the Alien Queen, the puppetry and the trash bag test, as they called it, was so incredible. Like, wow, they're actually working this thing. And then when you go see the movie, like, wow, it's kind of hard to believe there's people in that thing.
Well, let's think about what ILM did before CGI came along. And for those of you who don't know ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, that was basically what created Lucasfilm. Mm-hmm. And what did all the special effects for not only all the Star Wars movies, that both the original trilogy and the prequels, but it also did the majority of the Star Trek movies from 2 through 6. It did. They did a lot of the Blade Runner movies. They did a lot of the. I think they did some of the Terminator movies. I mean, they did a lot of the movies from the 70s all the way up through the 2000s. That we've all been.
Even Stan Winston, I think he even worked with Michael Jackson on his music video Ghosts.
Didn't he do a Thriller too?
Oh yeah, I'm not sure, maybe, but I know he worked with Quincy Jones.
Yeah. So like all these artists that you may not have heard of, and these are the people I'm talking about in the chat that may not have heard of these guys and gals, and organizations. Like, take a minute to look up all the accolades that these people and organizations have done. And all the projects that they worked on, I guarantee you, at one point you watched these movies, and you've seen these artists and TV shows that they've worked on too. The ILM did a lot of stuff on Star Trek: The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. So,
Really?
oh yeah, they had to source a lot of that stuff out from Paramount for the model making. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's not because ILM was a separate, because Lucasfilm wasn't owned by Disney at that time.
Yeah.
So George could do what he wanted. So it was like, and so Paramount, and they were on a tight TV schedule, so they had to have help from doing all that stuff. So they outsourced a lot of their model making and stuff to ILM. Yep.
Another great example is the Jurassic Park films. Mainly,
Oh yeah,
the first
definitely.
one, and like compared to the first one, where it had mixture of CGI and actual practical, dinosaurs, and then to now where it's barely any practical dinosaurs and it's just CGI dinosaurs.
Yeah.
When they
That's
said like the first Jurassic World movie had a mixture of practical, I was like, wait, where are they? You can't even find them, basically.
Yeah. That's why the first Jurassic Park movie has stood the test of time. That's why all these legendary movies and TV shows from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, especially the ones that ILM did, have stood the test of time because they did model making. They did great makeup artist work. They had all this stuff done, and that's why we go back to them constantly. That's why when that's why when you get touched up by Blu-rays and all this stuff, they don't need a whole lot of touch-up work because it's already done. So that's why all these old movies and stuff, people say we're gatekeepers. Well, we are in a lot of ways because these movies and TV shows and franchises are so important. We don't want to see all these stories messed up. We don't want to see all these
There
CGI
should be
things.
some level of gatekeeping.
Yeah, there should be.
But now we have people who basically just infiltrated our pop culture spaces and then just try to force us out and say, yeah, you get lost. We don't want you here. This is our stuff now. And then they change it, and that's the reason why we get the way we are. And this is why we also have people like Woke Breaker to call this kind of stuff out, and us too, and Geeks and Gamers and other channels on YouTube who do such things.
I watched on Thursday. I watched the season finale of Strange New Worlds. And spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't watched it yet, they basically redid the original series episode of Balance of Terror. And it was decent, but because they kind of retold the story in a different timeline. But at the same time, as a Star Trek fan and as a Star Trek fan who grew up watching the original series, in a way, it was a slap in the face to me. Because that's not Captain Pike's story, that's Captain Kirk's story.
Yeah, but I think they still want to do it because they just want to just say, hey, that Star Trek you remember, yeah, it's gone now.
Yeah, it was literally they stole from their own property. That's what they did. It was complete lazy writing because they couldn't come up with anything else. But they decided, oh, we're gonna steal from one of the best Star Trek stories of all time, and we're gonna change it up so we're gonna see Pike in command of the Enterprise. They're gonna change the timeline in a what if story timeline, and then by the way, we're gonna bring Captain Kirk into this and put him in command of a different starship, just so we can. And that's exactly what they did, because it's a different timeline in this case.
And what timeline is this now called?
Well, what they did was, if you remember the Discovery season 2, where they showed Pike, they when they went to the Klingon planet where they had the time crystals, and they showed him that he was going to end up in that chair.
I don't know. I never
Okay,
watched
so
like Discovery or any
basically,
of those new shows.
okay, so in the original series, and back in the 60s, Captain Pike has to end up in, or ends up in a wheelchair because of a training crew's accident. This is long after he's given command of the Enterprise over to Captain Kirk, to James T. Kirk.
Okay.
So in that timeline, or in that's the original timeline, that's set in stone. At this initially. So in this timeline, what he's decided to do, he's trying to change history so he doesn't have to live through that. So an older version of himself, a future version of himself, has come back in time to tell him, don't do this. Don't change history, because we're going to live to regret this if you do. So what he does, so his older self has brought a time crystal back to him to show him what's going to happen. So what it is so we basically are getting the episode of Balance of Terror, which is an original series episode. And instead of Kirk in command of the Enterprise, it's Pike in command of the Enterprise to basically retell the story of Balance of Terror.
Oh boy. And this is sometimes why you gotta be careful when you do this stuff, when you have to deal with stuff like time travel. You inadvertently would, like, again, like if you tell your future self kind of things, you're gonna like something, a serious event that's gonna happen. Like Ashton Kutcher's The Butterfly Effect, you already see the repercussions of stuff like that could happen. You could radically change how a person's life goes. Like if you end up saving that person's life, who's to say that person's not going to become a total nihilist or narcissist in the future? Or who's to say if you actually end up hurting somebody in like a point in time, you end up like making them a more of a mess and just more deranged. There's the whole variety of factors that can go on, and that goes right into chaos theory.
Right. So he goes back. He goes through the whole motions, and basically what happens is, instead of doing what Kirk does in the original series episode, which is destroy the Romulan warbird, which has destroyed all the outposts along the neutral zone, he tries to make peace with them. That brings in the Romulan fleet, which in this case it starts up the Romulan Federation war. And instead of the Romulan warbird still gets destroyed, but it starts up the war. And instead of Pike dying, Spock dies.
Oh
my.
Yeah, oh my. So that screws up the entire timeline, because if you pay attention in the original timeline lore of Star Trek, Spock brings eventual peace to the Romulans and the Federation in the very far distant future in Star Trek: The Next Generation. So by future Pike showing what present Pike is about to do and change history, he basically shows him the error of his ways. Pike says, nope, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to keep the timeline right. Now everything's back to normal again. So that's why I say it's a one-off story, but at the same time, it kind of is like you took that episode that is a beloved episode and turned it into a what if episode of the original series into this episode, into a Strange New Worlds episode. And it's like, okay, I get the point, but at the same time, it's like you're messing with the original series type of thing. And you've already taken the line of Star Trek and already bent it a little bit and now you're really crossing the line with this. So it's like, so
Yeah, like I said, there are those dangers of time travel.
yep.
And you could radically mess up everything. Like like another good example of what happens when you mess with something and the idea of chaos theory. There was a man during World War I who essentially let a German soldier live. And you want to know who that German soldier he let live was?
Hitler.
Yep.
I heard that story before.
I have heard that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where people say, "Oh, you could prevent World War II." No. What would have prevented World War II from happening is if that man had shot Hitler dead, fascism wouldn't have risen in Germany, which again was only sparked up because how much Germany was devastated from the First World War. But of course, once again, the only reason why the First World War happened is because of a single bullet. A Serbian nationalist killed the Archduke of the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
So, but then here's the argument that would come out of this, because it's a paradox. If you kill Hitler, then people who didn't die before would still live. Then somebody else could have raised the army of the Nazis, and it could have been far worse.
Yeah, it could have been Joseph Goebbels or anybody else. Anyone who was in Hitler's inner circle could have rose up lost fascism.
And the thing is, Germany could have won the war.
Possibly, yes, because again, there's a lot of tactical blunders that Hitler himself caused that led to Germany's fall.
Exactly. So, I mean, you could say if Hitler had died before World War II started, fascism could have been created. Well, it's possible, but it's also possible that the Nazi Party could have
risen up over that and stoked all those fears and led to the invasion of Poland.
Yep.
But back to what I'm saying about World War I, if Archduke Franz Ferdinand wasn't assassinated, he probably would have. Like, the thing is, he actually was more of a reformist. He actually wanted to have, because technically Serbia was like Sarajevo, which is technically in Bosnia and technically was a part of the empire. They wanted to essentially get a lot of reforms to give peasantry the say in how the empire is run, and he probably would have been a very good leader. He would have crushed like the outspokenness of like the Serbians who were living in Bosnia.
Yep.
He could have been a great ruler if he inherited the throne, but if Gavrilo Princip wasn't there on Franz Joseph Street after because he was a part of the same group that was trying to commit the same assassination. If like the driver of his motorcade didn't like drive onto Franz Joseph Street, the bullet that sparked the war never would have happened, most likely. Yeah. Like it would have been seen as a failed. It probably would have a failed assassination with just the one bomber that messed up, and nothing more. Because again, he has been the target of several assassination attempts before. Either that or somebody else could have assassinated him in the future, or he could have lived out his life and made the Austro-Hungarian Empire a better. Heck, for all we know, the Austro-Hungary could have been a superpower in the modern world. For all we know, there's so many different variables of how all that would have played out.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yes,
and we'll never know for sure
exactly
what timeline would have been what.
And that's an interesting thing to think about. It's always interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely. Here's an interesting. What would have happened if Japan hadn't bombed Pearl Harbor?
Well, we probably would have stayed out of it, the war, and still probably maybe the Allies would have failed, or they would have pressed on without us.
Or if we had taken, if Hawaii had taken those threats seriously instead of ignoring the radio reports that they were getting about the Japanese getting ready to invade Pearl Harbor. What would have happened if we had been prepared? If all those battleships had been away from Pearl, what would have we would have saved the American battleships would have been saved. All those sailors would have been saved. You know what I mean? It's like we could have ended the war twice as fast, possibly.
Yeah, if we were more proactive and noticed it. Yeah, we could have basically stopped it. I mean, again, we probably would have deterred the Japanese from saying, "Yeah, you come near us again, we will strike back."
Yeah, we may
Easily.
not need the nuclear bomb. We may need to bomb Hiroshima or Nagasaki. We don't know, but because we did that, we advanced so fast in our technology. You know what I mean? We went
Yeah,
from in five
it
years.
awakened the sleeping giant.
Yeah, in 5 years, we did from 1940 to 1945. We invented the nuclear bomb, the atomic bomb, in 5 years. Who would have thought that in 5 years, in 1940 to 1945, we would have invented a weapon, literally a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah, it really is insane how some things happen, and again, the man who created it. It doesn't even matter, even with like Albert Einstein making all of the physics he pioneered. Ultimately, ended up creating the one ultimate weapon that could destroy all life on Earth in an instant.
Yep. No, and the thing was, that wasn't even what he was trying to do. That's the thing. That was the farthest thing from his mind to do that. You know what I mean? It was like all the stuff that he was inventing was for the greater good. And
that's kind of the whole thing, though. Even no matter what happens, there's always going to be someone out there who wants to think themselves, I wonder how we can turn this into a weapon.
Weapon, exactly.
Yep,
Every time.
And that's the sort of thing you're going to see in a story I'm writing a little bit, because there are elements of conspiracy and government experimentation and stuff like that. But talking about nuclear weapons, yeah, this thing you see right here giveth no fucks.
Nope.
Yeah, all humans are a threat to its masters.
That's the first one too, right?
Yep, that's the first one. Again, the Terminator is the most horrific looking most designed robot ever created. It's iconic. The red eyes, its skeletal looking form. It's just horrifying. And again, I mean, in many ways, the original Terminator movie is in many ways like a horror movie.
That's one of James Cameron's greatest designs of all time.
No, actually, it was designed by Stan Winston, but he dreamed that thing came up out of a firestorm.
Yeah.
Did he imagine the music?
Yeah. That talk about one of the greatest scores of all time.
Thank you, David Arnold, for that amazing score. Did he do the Terminator score? I don't know.
For some reason, I thought you were about to say David Wise.
No, I meant David Arnold. Yeah, but again, it still makes you. But this is something that actually is possible. We're still thinking, even right now, this is becoming more and more plausible with the idea of AI technology. Heck, even Elon, people like Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking say that, if we create an AI that outpaces human intelligence, it could be the worst mistake in human history.
If AI intelligence becomes that prevalent, there needs to be more safeguards built into that thing than freaking Fort Knox has to guard its gold.
Yeah, but that's why some people think the idea of Asimov's free laws of robotics. But even then, we saw with movies like iRobot, they still think, the only way to protect humanity, we have to basically treat them like children and basically shelter them from everything.
Yeah.
And they basically they should not resist at all.
And look at our society right now, though. we are, in a lot of ways, our society is pubescent.
Yeah, we're being very childlike. Hell, there's two people that got into it. Two people were trying to be outwoking each other in Portland over a dang fender bender.
Yeah,
I've
that's
actually recently seen the movie Idiocracy. Boy,
Yes.
are we headed there?
Yeah, we probably are headed there. But again, if we create the whole thing, I mean, the whole point of Skynet was to prevent like strategic defense from making errors that could basically unleash nuclear war, and it inevitably created the thing that ultimately caused it. The very nightmare it was prevented to stop. But yes, I know. Yeah, they always say the human mind was prone to mistakes and stuff like that. But again, it took like some better to say in your gut that this is it doesn't. We gotta really verify this and make sure this isn't like some hokey thing we're seeing.
the one thing.
Oops.
No, go ahead, Bears. Hello.
They do.
Bears.
I think continue, Phil. Sorry.
Okay, I was just gonna say the one thing that we have over AI as humans is our gut instincts.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's the one thing we have over AI. They can calculate however many calculations a second or whatever it is, but we have gut instinct. That's the one thing we have over AIs.
Yeah,
And
because the machine will only think logically
yeah,
based on what it based on the algorithm. I can't even pronounce that.
algorithms.
Algorithmically
Yeah,
predict what human behavior would be like, but
yeah,
not like again. You don't know how a human could easily react to certain things.
yeah. We have it. We have our instincts. We have our gut reactions. We have all that stuff that makes us human versus what intelligence a computer has. And that's being fed into its programming by a human. So it's like, okay, we can reprogram a computer as a human being. I could go into a computer right now and reprogram it to sing Kumbaya if I really wanted to. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not
it's
that hard to
true.
do.
And again,
You
we
know what I
already
mean?
have the existential thing of like what we see if like if machines, we actually get to a point where we make machines more human like us, where
Right.
they look, sound, and even act like us. And it also got to the point where we can't even tell the difference between who's really human and who really isn't.
But we have to get to that point but it's scary to think that we're getting to that point as human beings where we're allowing artificial intelligence into our lives more and more and more on a daily basis.
Yes, and even then, the basis of an idea, like in my magnum opus story, there's gonna be a point in the story where like where my hero actually ends up going to a future where basically humanity has essentially just surrendered all of its freedom, and they basically the idea of nothing is strictly like man and machine. The future would be just merging of man and machine together. So basically humanity are all nothing but cyborgs.
Yeah.
But that's the whole idea though. But the thing is, who's to say what would you really want to give up your flesh and blood, everything that's flesh and blood about you, and have like a whole bunch of stuff implanted into you?
No.
Yeah, well, but the thing is, a small number of people just might want that. But the thing is, those who basically say no, we don't want any part of this, and they basically say, yeah, well, you go and live off in the middle of nowhere, away from this better society that we've built. We don't want you here.
Here's my thing, though. On a personal level, I'd be okay with that.
Yes, but here's the bigger catch here. Since they basically don't want these humans around. They don't want these humans around anymore. They actually start poisoning a lot of any water sources, and basically make it so the soil is almost like unusable. So basically, everything beyond those massive continent-spanning cities are basically nothing but barren wastelands on purpose.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
And
fair.
people are struggling to survive.
That's fair.
That's kind of that's the worst part of it. But the main villain, who basically wants all this, already is doing the same as that thing. But it's a human, but he believes in the idea that the human mind is essentially a computer. So why not just merge it with technology and make us even more powerful? That we could even possibly transcend the idea of even mortality itself. We basically could be that, just be nothing. Our bodies, our conscience is nothing but data. And even then, it still gets even worse, because if you can do that and transplant yourself into a robotic body, or even worse, transplant yourself into another human body with that type of technology, you could effectively not die. But again, there's the fear of like what happens to the person who already has that body. Would you be overshadowing that person? Would you basically just erase everything that made that person who they were so you could just take over? That's a pretty horrific thought. Have your mind, everything about you taken away from you to have someone else inhabit your body.
Yeah, see, and the thing is, it's like I'm one of those people that's like, you know what, I'm good. I grew up without technology. You know, I can go back to not having technology. You know, it'd be hard. Not gonna say it wouldn't be hard, but it is possible.
Yeah, it's possible we can really live without it. I mean, still, that's the reason why I'm glad we should still have books, because if we have everything, every single thing about our civilization would all be lost if everything was all just computerized.
Yep. And here's the thing, like if you're like me, who grew up in an era without cell phones, without computers, without personal computers, without all this stuff, you know, you had books, you were out planting, you were out playing, you were outside doing all this stuff before. When you were a kid, it's easy enough to go back to that. Whereas,
Exactly.
whereas the kids nowadays don't do that. They're on their cell phones, they're on their tablets, they're on their computers, they're on their PlayStations, Xboxes, whatever. They don't know how to handle themselves outside. My nephew is definitely one of those kids.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I hear some of the most vulgar. Even you hear this kind of vulgar stuff from kids on like online gaming. It's like, yeah, again, these are just parents who just do it just to get their kids to keep quiet, but they still are just being as loud as heck.
Yeah,
and that's kind of. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say they're never gonna learn what it's like. So if something happens to their technology, they don't know how to entertain themselves.
Exactly. Other than, just like, okay, I'm not gonna go there. But again, you could easily just do that by you can still just do that by just closing your eyes and just dreaming.
Right.
But even then, people don't want to do that anymore. They just need so much bombardment of stimulation in the mind, because it basically is we basically kind of overfired those essentially now.
Exactly, because no one's taking the time to just sit down. There's a phrase: sit back and smell the roses. Stop and smell the roses. Take time and just smell the roses. That's what you need to do in life. You can't just be on the go, go, go. And in the younger generation's case, play on your tablet, play on your phone, play on your computer, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's kind of what my nephew is kind of like himself. He really is like, he's kind of somewhat addicted to his tablet, or just like always touching everybody's phones and whatnot. But I know everyone people just kind of let it just kind of happens though.
Yeah, because that's the way to keep them occupied. They don't bother you, so you can go about your business. I literally have told my nephew when he started playing on his mom's phone, I said, "You're not playing on mine." I don't let him. I do not let him touch my phone in any capacity.
Exactly. That's what I was like with my nephew too. I mean, but I just say again, but also the thing is, children are very like, especially like a young child, like a kid even younger than like 3, like younger than 5. Yeah, they're not very careful with this with pieces of technology, this expensive technology, the stuff that costs hundreds of dollars, and they could easily break it.
Yeah. But and they shouldn't be playing with that technology anyway at 5 years old. They should be playing with, Tinker Toys or
blocks
with Legos or whatever. You know what I mean? They shouldn't be playing with phones that are hundreds of dollars or tablets that are hundreds of dollars. You know what I mean? Or they should be outside playing. What was that?
Playing with Legos are hundreds of dollars.
That too.
Yeah, but I'd still like start them off with like Jenga blocks or something.
Yeah.
I built even when I was like around like 9 or 10, I was still playing with blocks. I actually built a whole city out of like Jenga blocks.
Yeah. But again, we had imaginations when we were 9 and 10 years old. You know what I mean?
I built a whole city out of magnetics and Jenga blocks and
the shit.
Yes.
Oh man, so many stupid kids kept eating them, and then they ruined it. Magnetics went out.
Oh my gosh, no, I don't understand. But I know it was so cool. Heck, I think I even built something that looked like a robot that was akin to the SDF-1 from Robotech. It looked. I even took a photo of it a long time ago, and I wish I still had that photo. It's probably just collecting dust somewhere deep in the recesses of my grandmother's house.
I wish I still had magnetics, but you don't hear me complaining, Jet.
Wait, you're what?
The magnetics. You
yeah, I know. Like I said, that was really cool. I know, but I'm just saying. I only just wish I had the picture of that robot I took. I only wish I still had that, not the magnetics themselves. But it was a good thing. It was just really nice about this kind of stuff. But still, like this idea, like merging. I know people would think like stuff like the whole thing with like cyberpunk. They think that it would like destroy all that stuff, like the so-called like gender disparity or whatever thing, because now you could just swap out those you could probably just swap out those body parts. But I don't believe in that. You literally should just be happy with what you were born with, because you are basically given the gift of life. And I think people just don't. I mean, that's one of the themes of the Terminator, is that people don't seem to take their lives too much for granted.
Back in the day, whatever day that was, we didn't take our lives for granted. We shouldn't be taking our lives for granted, because we're all individually have our own unique styles of the way we live our lives.
Exactly. Every single person I know, sure, we may have some things we may have in common, and we may have things we may disagree on, but that's not how the world is, because this is what social media has kind of done to us.
Yeah.
We've just basically said we live by the hive-minded mentality of, we need you to think the way we do. If you don't think the way we do, you're the enemy. I know, sure, it's easy to call out woke people on insane things, but seriously, like the people on the right are no different. They pretty much want you to get into politics themselves and basically do the same stuff they do too.
Well, and here's the thing. Like we have this platform that on open mics on whatever channels we're on doing this on, whether it's Phil's channel, your channel,
Josh Revan's channel,
Josh's channel, anybody's channel that we go on to have these open mics on, and we can discuss whatever we want, whether we agree or disagree. It's fine, because we can do this. We had these open discussions because we can do that. And then whether we agree or disagree, we can all go we hear each other out. Fine, cool. We're still friends afterwards. Bears is going to go out afterwards. He's going to eat everybody on the planet. After it's all said and done, Sparks still looks like Denzel Washington's kid.
Actually really does. I was like driving and I heard you say it. I'm like, damn, he actually does, now that I think about it.
Yeah. Like I said, the photographer who took my senior photos even said that once, and I think I just kind of ran with it.
And and I'm still here. I'm still here as the odd guy out. So here we are. And the fact of the matter is that we all can agree to disagree on everything and nothing, and yet one day we're all going to get together, whether it's here or wherever. We're all going to get together, go out, have a pop, soda, beer,
Yeah,
whatever it
have a few
is,
drinks, and still
and we're
doing
going to
that
shoot
same
the
exact
shit.
stuff.
And we're going to shoot the shit, have a good time, raise a glass to our favorite franchises that died, and then we're going to be on our merry way. And we're going to go back, and the next week we're going to come back on these channels again and continue to shoot the shit with each other. And that's the way it's going to be.
And that's the beauty of why. That's the only beauty of the internet, of why it's helped connected us and all the stuff, all the good it's done. But still, that we are just like, we're the outliers. This is the reason why people are gravitating toward people like Geeks and Gamers. And why people like Drunk 3PO or that Star Wars girl, all those people gravitate toward those people because there's a lot of stuff because they just love to talk about certain things.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. It's like, we're being the outliers that we are. It's like, and watching Friday Night Tights last night, they said it last night. It's like, we're getting more followers as YouTubers, as Twitter people, as whatever, because people want truth. They don't want to hear the BS that the media is putting out there. They don't want to watch what the nonsense that Disney is putting out there, that Paramount's putting out there, that the BBC or whoever else is putting out there.
Yeah,
they're tired of it.
Yeah, and even then, you just want to inject a little bit of humor into certain things too, and that's like, again, that's somehow how I always do. I always just like post. That's why sometimes when I like respond to people on Twitter, sometimes I just post GIFs. But yeah, I know people have like got on to me for just like not having the wrong or having the quote unquote wrong opinion on something because
Sparks, excuse me. It's got to be especially tough for you, Sparks, because you're well, hell, you're black.
Exactly. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, like, and it's like all of a sudden, why is it your opinion should quote unquote matter better or more than my opinion does? I'm white.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. But the thing is, all the stuff that I basically agree with, but again, if someone who looks like me, I don't believe in this whole racism crap. I don't really care,
obviously.
because I just see people as just that, people.
Right, obviously. But
that's the whole thing though. Like, yeah, you don't, because either people will just ignore my opinion, or they will just simply say, "Oh, you're wrong. You're basically wrong. How dare you think the way they do?"
Right. But isn't that the whole point of this whole thing? According to their quote unquote ideas or ideals, your opinion should matter above mine or above anybody else's that's white, because you're black, and according to them, you're the group, the minority, or whatever they want to call you. You're the group that's oppressed.
So you're no, not really. I mean, unless someone starts hanging me from a tree or anything else, or they egg my car or something. No way. But then again, I would say if someone eggs my car, yeah, they're just an asshole.
I was gonna say, back when I was in school or I was a kid, if you egged somebody's car, all you had to do was go to the car wash and egg them back, because usually it's a classmate.
Yeah, I know. Heck, I remember seeing like last Halloween, I actually wanted to dress up as Dr. Vandenberg and give out candy, but of course, I even put a few fly posters around my town, the main street of my town, and nobody showed up. But like the day after Halloween, I was like, I saw somebody's house. TP was like, yeah, I'm kind of glad nobody did show up, because I'm pretty sure that probably would have happened. But it's still like, again, it's just kids just doing a rite of passage thing with just like TPing someone's house isn't really that bad. Sure, it's gonna be a mess, but still.
Right, but that's a rite of passage as being a kid, is TPing house or forking the yard or whatever. That's the rite of passage. But that being said, when I was a kid, it didn't matter what color you were or what race you were or whatever. If you were a kid, you were a friend. Guess what? You got TP'd.
Yeah, and here's another thing that I saw on Twitter today, and I responded to it. Shout out to the Rose Rider. I think that's what that person's name was on Twitter that I follow. Go follow her. I don't have her link, but there was like a video she responded to, like a video from TikTok that he responded, of course, saying from some Asian chick saying that, oh yeah, you people are basically all gonna die. There's a billion Asian people, and there's only a few hundred million. There's only like half a billion white dudes in the world. Like, again, you kind of left out all the Asian, like all the Asian guys out there, or maybe she just only says Asian women. But the thing is, she does not understand this little fact. Like the saying that blue-eyed, blonde-haired people, look, blue eyes are probably more rare than you think. Brown eyes are more common, regardless of what ethnicity you are. This is what I responded to. Like, almost half to nearly 80% of the human population have brown eyes, and less than 8% of people around the world have blue eyes, and even 2% have green eyes. Yep. So yeah, having an eye color that's more common around the world, yeah, that's definitely. But that, I think if you do that, you lose some genetic diversity. Yeah, that's what I think of that. And I mean, come on, there's more. I mean, you see some people who have green or brown eyes. People with those eyes, come on, they probably are amazing. Those eyes are probably more beautiful and more rare. Like, come on,
very sexy blue eyes.
Exactly the point.
I think I would have just went back and said, "Lady, I'm gonna die, but it won't be from you. It'll be probably from all the Big Macs I've eaten over the years." But that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's kind of the whole thing, though. Like the idea that, look, there already are a lot. I mean, I think as far as I can tell, Oriental genes are pretty strong. Even if you like, kind of like, get a little funky with any other person. Like, you see, I think there was like a model that's half black, half Japanese, half black. She's gorgeous.
Yeah,
you can see
my brother-in-law. He's part Mexican and Japanese.
That's a combination.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm the result of mixed coupling. My mom is from Trinidad. My dad was black. So there you go. There's some mixture right there. So there you go, guys. I mean,
come to think of it, I'm a result of mixed coupling. One's Irish, one's Scottish.
That's not really mixed. You basically, that's still you're still from the British Isles.
Well, I was going to say one wants to drink, and the other one doesn't want to pay for it.
Okay.
So there's that.
Oh yeah. You may smell like Irish Spring. It doesn't shut you, freaking trap. Exactly. Irish dad. Oh man, that is a really good song, but still, all this stuff really should not really matter, because again, we are just people. Even when I used to play on Xbox Live back in the day, like, it didn't matter. We were all just a bunch of kids. We were all just a bunch of young people and kids just hanging out, shooting the breeze and talking and just messing around a lot of time and being stupid.
You know what these live streams are? We're the gamers of our generation, gotten together on open mics, just doing what we do, except we're not playing video games.
Shooting the shit.
We're shooting the shit. That's exactly what we're doing.
Back when Bears and I did the Dummies of Gaming, we just pretty much had to do it with gaming. But when we have StreamYard, we can talk about this stuff. Now, if I can like put some gameplay, if I just put like just pure gameplay footage up on the screen, maybe we can still do that same thing and talk. But still, it's just that whole thing. We're still just like, just doing it, hanging out, and heck, you even saw me like a couple days ago with our friend Killzone. We were playing this game called Duck Game.
Yeah.
It's just fun. It's just fun. Just fun little insanity that you have with it. In fact, I think I might go online in maybe another 30 minutes so and go play it again.
But that's the whole point. It's like you get online, you play, and we're doing this. That's pretty much what what we did back in the day, or what we're doing now. Except, that's all this is. So when and give credit where credit's due, Phil started this whole thing.
Yeah, and he gained a lot of influence. He inspired Astro. He inspired me. It's just like, again, sometimes people really can inspire. Sometimes things you do can actually inspire other people. Sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at what happened with CinemaSins, and speak of the devil himself. He's now also officially in the chat.
Oh Lord.
Kills up. No, I'm talking about. No, I meant Killzone, who's up on screen, not Phil.
Oh, sorry, Killzone. My apologies.
Yeah,
he's killing the zones.
Yes, or he's basically fighting the hell gas on Vecta.
I've been through the kill zone.
Yeah. But still, that's kind of the whole thing. That I think, Danger Zone would probably be my personal theme, most likely.
I think you're just living on the hype right now for a Top Gun.
I still am. That movie is still good. I love it.
It only took 20 plus years to make that sequel. That's all.
I guess that's a.
But I'd say it was worth it. I mean, it wasn't. We didn't want it, but heck, I think right now we needed it. Yeah,
here's the thing: Spider-Man: No Way Home was the movie that we had been waiting for, but Top Gun was the movie that I think we needed
the most.
The mojo to come back for the fans to be re-energized, to be like, no, Hollywood, this is what you can do again to please the fans without having to have any woke BS in it. You can do it.
Sad, though, that Minions is making as much money as it is.
Yeah, it's still, no pun intended, flying high.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and kills on up. I want to play some Dungeon after this, definitely.
Well, and the thing is, we know Lightyear isn't doing anything. I seriously doubt what's the next one coming out for. The next Disney movie coming out?
I don't know.
I don't know, but I don't think
Marvel.
We don't have much in the way, though.
Yeah, it's like
other than like that Brad Pitt movie where he's on a bullet train. Other than that,
I just saw the preview for that a little while ago.
Hold on. Isn't that the one where it's going to be like a Train to Busan Americanized version?
No, it's just gonna be like another. It's gonna be like another action movie with Brad Pitt trying to get something, but other people are after it too.
Oh, because I heard there's an American adaptation coming for Train to Busan.
Busan, but no. If they're gonna do that, no, I don't want that. Just admit it, Hollywood. Korea is kicking your ass. Korea and Japan are kicking your ass when it comes to entertainment at this point. Just take the L. Train to Busan is probably the best. It's probably not only a good foreign film, but it's also probably one of the best zombie films I've ever watched.
Here's the thing about the entertainment coming out of Japan and Korea. They're doing it right because there's no woke politics in it.
They're not caring about that kind of stuff.
No, because they don't care. It hasn't reached their shores yet. And even if it did, they'd be like, no.
Yeah, exactly. You guys seriously think you want to put our Western sensibilities on Japan, Korea, and as far as we know, China's pretty much laughing their asses off at us at how stupid we are right now.
Yeah, they're raking in the money in the process. Think about that. They're getting, was it 30% of the take?
And
or something like that, and they're forcing our movies to be edited to go over there to show on their screens, and they're getting, was it 30-40% of the take for their sales?
Dang, I don't know.
Something like that. And they're laughing, and they're like, haha, we're making you edit your movies to show on our screens, and it doesn't have any woke bullshit in it. It doesn't have any of that of the politics in there.
Yeah, but they have the right. Yeah, but Hollywood has to talk down to us, the commoners of Western civilization. While we'll gladly bow down to Xi Jinping and his regime
Yeah.
for whatever reason, just to appease
Changing penis.
No.
Wait, Xi Jinping.
I never thought I'd see the day where the U.S. would bow down to the communist of the world.
Fucking commies.
You know, I never thought I'd see the day in my lifetime where we bowing down to the communists, but here we are.
Freaking commies. Yeah, but that's the whole thing, though. But yeah, we still are just gonna. That's the whole thing. Entertainment is like we are doing or they're doing way better than what we're doing right now. There's a few bright spots, but other than that, and even then, like we announced with Young Rippa's announced his new comic book company, and that's going to be pretty interesting.
From the stuff we saw on the preview of what we saw on Friday Night Tights last night, it looks amazing. All the small preview that we got, it looks absolutely incredible. I personally can't wait to see what they got coming out.
Hell, I mean, if anyone can actually send or clip this part of the thing and send it to Young Rippa 95, again, I would love to be on For Cannon's Sake, or have you come on Talking Pinheads with us at some point. But hey, it's just fun because again, they're trying to create a new space for all this stuff, for all like entertainment and stuff like that. And that's what I do when I'm all the stuff I'm writing. I'm just still trying to make a great story. That's all that people will enjoy. Nothing more, nothing less.
Well, the same thing is with Young Rippa, it's like he's doing something that, and he's probably in the best position out of anyone outside of maybe the G&G crew to do something like this. Because,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Because it's like he's got the money, he's got the resources to pull this off. And he's putting something out there that is for the fans. He's going old school. He's going back to the roots of fandom for comics and hopefully for other things in the future. So I'm going to be there to support him in every step of the way as much as I can. You know what I mean? Because this is something that it's a shot in the arm for fandom, period. You know what I mean? One way or the other.
Exactly.
You know, so it needs to be done. And anything that we can contribute, whether it's creatively, monetarily, whatever, for anything to do with any kind of fandom, whether it's for Young Rippa, Geeks and Gamers, for Sparks, for anybody that's in this realm, we need to do it as much as possible.
And that is the beauty of why, again, these people those people, like all the stuff that have fallen so far, and even then, I think both Jack Kirby and Stan Lee are probably just those poor men are rolling around in their graves right now for what Marvel has turned into. Sure, the MCU was like a beast, but now I think it's really starting to slow down now.
Jack Kirby and Stan Lee on the Marvel side. What about Bob Kane for DC? For DC with Batman, whatever, and the creators of Superman. Those guys and gals, they're rolling over in their graves. What about I can't imagine what George Lucas is going through for Star Wars.
Well, he already knows, but I mean, but then again, he pocketed $4 billion. But again, like it's like the brand's not even worth it. It's not even worth anything anymore because of how much it's been how much it's degraded over time. It's not worth it.
Yeah, but think about, I mean, that's his baby. He created all those stories. That was his baby. I mean, yeah, you pocketed $4 billion, excuse me, and he owns how much stock in Disney, but still, to see something that you created be absolutely destroyed and the fans ultimately turning on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I know there's always those interpretations of why, people hate it. No, the people who hated the prequels were just media outlets, and they fanned the flames. The mainstream media were the reason why, where the whole all the hatred of the prequels came from. I love the prequels, and I know, sure, if you want to like say you hate them, I just only mean as a joke.
Unlike like the new trilogy.
Yeah, compared to the new trilogy, the prequels are a godsend, and yeah, sure, the prequels have problems, but again, they're better than the sequels. I'm gonna say that.
I said this from the beginning. George Lucas is a better writer than he is a director.
That is true. And that's the whole thing. You can really love that he loves to world build.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm trying to do with my stories too. And I mean, dear Lord, I would not want to have my characters degraded or in any shape or possible, especially my superhero character. I do not want to see him or his team or his friends destroyed in any shape or form, because again, like I said, these characters are essentially my children in many ways, or in many aspects. Like I said, though, my superhero character is literally a reflection of myself.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can go into the whole thing about saying that you could say it's a self-insert story, but again, he still goes through the classic hero's journey where, yeah, he starts off, and yeah, he's a tad enthusiastic and somewhat a bit like, arrogant, a little bit full of himself when he does like start off, but then again, he knows that there's a lot more danger to what he's doing than anything, and he knows that he can come back, and even then, when you have to get when you later get thrust into the role of a leader, you start having what could happen to you could happen to the people who join you in the fight. You're more concerned about their well-being as well. So that's the beauty of it, because a lot of elements like friendship, family, and grief, those are very core elements of what my stories are about.
And the thing is, and like I just said, he's one of the best story, like you said, he's one of the best story builders in modern folklore history.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's basically, Star Wars is a modern myth.
Yeah, and with him, but his directorial debut with TX 1138 and an American Graffiti, they were great movies, but I think he just lost his touch directing when it came to sci-fi. Yes, the original Star Wars was one of the best movies of all time.
I think Westerns. It was inspired by Westerns. Whoops.
Yeah, Westerns, but also there's elements of spirituality and, of course, references to history. Because, again, we already know, like, the Empire are basically the damn angry Germans from 1940s.
Yeah. And then you had
Space Nazis.
And the funny thing was, the old joke is you compared the stormtroopers to the red shirts of Star Trek. The stormtroopers could shoot anybody with a blaster to save their life, and the red shirts always died. So that's the running joke, and for the fandoms,
Another interesting battle: 100 Star Trek red shirts versus 1,000 stormtroopers. Who would win?
Nobody, because the red shirts are going to die, even though the stormtroopers aren't going to be able to shoot their way out of a paper bag.
Yeah. Oh, man. But
I don't know. I'd never seen Star Trek. I didn't really watch too much Star Trek, so I'm like,
yeah, well, I didn't either. But again, you kind of know your way around a lot of memes about.
Yeah, I'm the Star Trek fan. I got your guys' back. You're good.
No problem. Thank you, Carl. Thank you so much for that. But yeah, that's the beauty of We Are as a fandom. And with that being said, I think we have had a good long conversation for a while, guys. So everyone, let's start doing some plugging. Belle, where can everyone find you?
I am on Twitter at TheThrill369. Catch me on there. Follow me on there. I usually try to be respectful for everybody. And I just ask the same thing in return. If you want to contact me, just contact me on there. That is the only place you can contact me, honestly. I tell everybody this every time I'm on the live stream. Please be respectful to everybody. That's all I can ask. That's what we do. That's what this is all about. You can have your disagreements. We're allowed to. That's what we are. We're fans. You can have your disagreements. You're allowed, but be respectful to each other about it. After you're done, go out and have a beer. Go out and have a pop. Whatever it is. But just remember, we're all friends in the end. We're all fans in the end, and we're here to make sure that what we believe in as fans is what we're here for. To stand up for that.
And also, thank you for that, Fel. And Bears, what do you do, and where can anyone find you at?
Well, you can find me on YouTube, Bears64, and you can find me on the Twitter, Bears64 as well, doing the Wario World playthrough at the moment. And I also have Subpar Smasher Sundays.
Yes, and I may also add that you thoroughly got dunked on by our fellow friend here, Killzone, as well. So so I'm probably sure he can always ride the coattails on that, and I will always bring that up to you anytime I'm on a stream with you. Because Killzone is actually just as much of a boss at Smash as you are. And I really love to see TMNT Phil go up against you or Killzone and see how well he does.
Why? Phil's gonna lose anyway.
Huh?
TMT Phil has Smash Brothers?
Yeah, I think he has a Switch, and I know he's played Mario Kart. So yeah, let's see how he fares against you two.
It wouldn't be much of a contest. Bears is going to win. Phil can't win a game to save his life.
Yeah, I know. The thing is, it'd be easy for him, for like you and Killzone, to pretty much double team him. And yeah, Phil, if you go back and see this later, yeah, this is an official challenge. You go up against Bear 64 and Killzone, and see how well you fare against them.
It's not going to be a contest.
Like tomorrow, I'm not sure.
Okay.
My whole Subpar Smasher was started because it's I played Smash Bros before even going to work.
Okay.
Why not make that as a series? But I kind of do the whole concept of having people fight me.
Yeah. And of course, for yours truly, all my social links are right here in the chat. So again, even share it out to as many people as you can. And I really would love to get my subscribers. I'm already 85 subs now. And I do this Talking Pinheads open mic every Saturday at 5 p.m. So anyone who wants to come on, if you got StreamYard, come in and join. Let's have a little nice little chat about anything. Whatever you want to talk about, just as long as it falls under the terms of service by YouTube and we don't get deplatformed. And I hope I don't get deplatformed before my time. So that's about it.
Don't let him fool you. His father is Denzel Washington. He can get it out of it.
Nowadays you could just say I identify as Washington, Denzel Washington's son.
No, but I know one thing. I will basically be that of the 101st Squadron of a great Legionary Air Corps. Some of the best, probably of some of the world's greatest pilots that nobody knows about. That's the best thing I can say I can identify as. And also, again, shout out to the amazing, beautiful people that are the Blue Angels. So wherever they are in the United States, you guys are awesome, and I always salute you guys, no matter what. So that being said, we will conclude this, and we will see you next time. And may God and the Force be with you always. See ya.
See y'all.